This is the brand new Porsche Cayman GT4 RS. And those letters mean a lot. They mean that this is the most track-focused Cayman that has ever been built. So once upon a time, as all you Porsche aficionados know, the Cayman kind of played second fiddle to the 911, right? It was always just a little slower, a little bit less track focused. Well, those days are long gone because now we have this. This vehicle will go toe to toe pretty much with the 911 on any track, on any day. And that's because it shares the exact same power plant, a 4-liter Boxster 6-cylinder out of the GT3. I had a chance to take it around the streets of Willow, which is this racetrack right here. That's Big Willow over there. We're outside of Los Angeles. This is the streets of Willow. We ran it for all of you Big Willow fans backwards. We'll do a little bit of POV for you guys so you can see what it's like to drive one of these in the hands of a very amateur driver. My biggest goal was not to go off the track. Did I go off the track? Well, let's find out. I'm gonna do a lead follow behind a bright yellow 911 Turbo S to see how this car drives. Now, this is the quickest Cayman ever. It's very track focused. It has the engine out of the 911 GT3, so a little detuned, 393 horsepower, I think 311 pound-foot of torque. Basically, a race car that you can take on the road. So now, the biggest difference, of course, is you Porsche fans know is that instead of having a rear-engine vehicle, we now have a mid-engine vehicle. And mid-engine cars tend to be a little bit more neutral on the track. This one is special. Can you tell why? I'm sure you can. You notice a carbon fiber hood. You'll notice the special magnesium wheels. Those might be carbon ceramic brakes. I'm not sure. More carbon fiber here, more carbon fiber there. Actually, an air intake here for the engine and a cooling intake right there. And of course, a carbon fiber rear wing and that special carbon fiber GT4 RS engine air intake cover. This is a Weissbach package. I always have a hard time saying that, which is basically the highest performance level because it's named after the racetrack that Porsche does their testing on. 7-speed PDK that I can shift using the paddle shifters, or I can let the car shift. Grippy Michelin Cup 2R tires. Just over 3,200 pounds. And of course, rear-wheel drive the way God intended. This is an interesting track. Very curvy. And really the biggest difference between this car and the 911 ahead of me is that this is a mid-engine sports car. So the car rotates around the mass of the engine versus being rear-engined. One of the most unique things about the car are these Swan neck hinged rear wing, and the reason for that, according to Porsche, is actually very interesting, and that is because if you have ever flown commercially, which I'm sure all of you have, you'll note that the engines on a plane are underneath the wing and not on top, and that's because most of the wing lift, according to Porsche at least, comes from the top of the wing, so you don't want to disrupt airflow on the top of the wing, so you do it on the bottom. Now think of this as a reverse wing, right? Because this is about providing downforce to the car, and so you don't want to disrupt the downforce, which happens down here by putting hinges down here. You want to put them up here, so that's why these Swan neck hinges on the top of the spoiler to clean up the airflow and keep as much downforce as possible. Also, you'll note the tires, which have had some track work, so they're getting a little cupped, but they're Pilot Sport Cup 2s, which are certainly a very sticky, track-worthy tire. And you'll note the center lock wheels, also very track focused. Now underneath the car, it is completely flat, and that's simply because of aero reasons. And in general, in this Arctic gray color, I believe it's called, I think it's just a very, very good looking car.
Here comes the back straight. Miles an hour. Incredibly quick downshifts, as you can hear. I'm letting the car do it. And it really does love to rotate around the center of mass. Oh my, that is so much fun. Very, very good brakes and more grip than I know what to do with. Of course, my biggest goal right now is just to keep it on the track and not embarrass myself.
One difference between this and 911 is a new 911 has rear wheel steering. This doesn't. But with the mid-engine layout, I'm not sure it needs it. Let's take a look under the frunk and see how much room there is, because this is, after all, still a road car, even though a lighter road car. In terms of weight, it is about, I think, about 100 pounds heavier than the GT3. So that's not great for the track, but you know, I couldn't tell driving it around the track. Probably you could fit a regular rollerboard suitcase in there, no problem. Now, Alcantara everywhere. On the steering wheel, on the dashboard, of course, left side. Interesting. Still a traditional key. Who would have thunk? Not the regular push button. Let me sit down in here. This is going to be a little bit of a trick because, like I say, it's a little tight in here, at least in the seat for me, but not too tight. What we've got here is a traditional shifter, which you can then manually move the PDK transmission if you don't want to use the paddle shifter. So you can put it in drive and then flip it over and manually. Of course, you can adjust your exhaust note, which is great. And Porsche is very proud of this. You can lift the front nose. So if you're tempted here in California to go in the In-N-Out Burger and there's a speed bump, no problem. Let's start up and see what it sounds like. A lot of induction noise because it's right behind your head. Let's swap out the exhaust. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah. Yeah. 4 liters of opposed boxer goodness. That's pretty good. And probably the headline for this story is right there. Look at that. Can you believe that? Turn it off. How high the engine revs? 9,000 RPM. This is a screamer. Top speed 196 miles an hour. You're wondering how much does all this race car goodness cost? Well, it starts at about $140,000. A GT3 would be about $160,000. 911 GT3, so you're talking about $20,000 more if you could get one, which you can't, because of course you got to pay the dealer a $50,000 allocation fee. You can get the Visoc package. Which adds magnesium, wheels, carbon fiber, a lot of other go-fast goodies for about $15,000 more. Do you need it? I don't think so. This one doesn't have it. And to me, it's just as terrifying and just as fast as the one with it. Let's see what's back here. Let's see how much room we have. Actually, a good amount of room. You know, oil, water engine. You're not going to see an engine in a Cayman. Only your mechanic can probably get at it. They're not that easy to get at. Try to see if this lifts up, and it doesn't. But anyway, a little bit more storage space here. So I love the Germans. You know, basically you've got a track car here, and what you have is practicality. You gotta love that. Check out those special exhausts. They do change color as you track it, and they kind of start to become a dark blue, matching these magnesium wheels eventually, which is also pretty badass. Now, in terms of kind of pricing, figure this is probably what, $20,000 less than GT3. Those start at about $160,000. This starts at about $120,000, so $40,000 or so. But with the Weissbach package, all the upgrades, this is probably close to the base price of a GT3. And I suspect that Porsche will sell every one of these that they can make. They're going to start building them in 2022, but they will build them through 2023. So no, they are not limited in terms of production. But with the world being the way it is, they're certainly not going to be easy to get your hands on, because obviously if you're a huge fan of Porsche, having the ultimate Porsche Cayman GT4 RS is a huge thing, and you probably will be able to resell it at some point for more than you paid for it. All right guys, well, thank you for joining me for this world first drive of the brand new Porsche GT4 RS. I have to say my heart's now pounding. I'm gonna have to get on the plane, fly back to Colorado, and calm down a little bit. Do I want one of these? You know, yes and no. I'm not a track guy. I'll leave that to Paul. So if you do want something that you'll be the only one at Cars and Coffee with, this is certainly a great choice. But for me, it's probably a little too track focused, a little too loud, a little too raw. Certainly not something that like my wife would want to go for a Sunday ride in. But for all of you Porsche fans, this is the ultimate, the quickest, the most powerful, the fastest 196-mile-an-hour top speed Porsche Cayman you can buy, and I think that makes it very desirable. As always, this is Roman saying thanks for watching. See you next time. Hope you enjoyed this walk around. Ciao.